Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Lincoln School of Design event. My name is Stuart Bibby. I'm the Deputy Head of the Lincoln School of Design, and I'm a previous programme leader for the Product Design programme, so I have experience in teaching across a number of our courses. Our aim with this broadcast is to highlight and inform what we do here on our creative design programmes, and hopefully answer any questions that you may have prior to you starting any courses in September. We have a number of students here from our programs. I'm going to introduce you to them in a second, and hopefully they will help to illustrate what it means for them to have studied or to continue studies in Lincoln, and hopefully also their hopes and aspirations for the future. When we've got our introductions, we are looking for you to, if you can or if you want to, please do submit any questions you may have in the comments box, which will be put to our expert panel here. So without further ado, I'm going to ask our panel to introduce themselves, starting with Jack. If you could start us off, please.
Hi, I'm Jack, and I'm currently a second year on the Creative Advertising course.
Alice.
Hello, I'm Alice, and I'm a second year studying fashion.
Thank you. Adam.
Hello, I'm Adam, and I'm here representing the Arts Foundation year.
Jasmine.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, and I'm a first year illustration student.
And finally, Gabby.
Hi, I'm Gabby, and I'm studying on second year photography.
Thanks ever so much, everyone. As you can see, what a great panel they are, and they represent almost all of the programs we have across the School of Design. So we have a couple of kind of preloaded questions, and hopefully, as I said a little while ago, these will help to inform you on your way. So I'm going to kick off with what do you enjoy or have you enjoyed most about your course so far? Let's start as we started earlier. Jack, you're first up.
What do I like most? I think it's quite a tight-knit course because there's not a huge amount of people that do it. It's about 24 per year, and so my favorite bit is probably that you kind of know everybody, definitely in your year, but you also know people in other years. So it's kind of like, I don't want to say family because that's really cringe, but it's like a nice group of people, and yeah, it's very welcoming.
Good. It's not cringe at all. I think family is the right word. I've seen the creative advertising students really get together on a number of masterclass visits, on a number of industry visits that you've done, and on projects. I'm actually speaking to a couple of level 3 students that they pair off in the final year to work on their final projects. Thanks for that. Alice, what about you on fashion?
I'd also agree. My course is very small, and there's only maximum maybe it's like a range of 10 to 20 students, maybe less, in the year, and everybody gets to know everybody, and a lot of the time you will be studying with all of the years at the same time, or second year, third year, so it's very good for collaboration in that sense, and it's also just homely. It's a nice environment too, but I also just love how much you get to express yourself with anything. It's a very free range place. There's no big restrictions, it's a very creative space, and that's what I really love.
Thank you. Adam.
What I really love about the Arts Foundation year is that you can pretty much do anything. So if you're undecided on which art course you might want to go and do in the School of Design, you can do the Arts Foundation year, and it will really help you figure out what you're good at through workshops and guidance from the lecturers and everything like that.
Great. Sounds good. Okay, Jasmine.
I really like the freedom about the course. So we do have our briefs where we have different projects we have to do, but we get to pursue our particular creative styles, and it's really nice to have an environment where you can just explore and experiment and just make wonderful art, which is just great.
Which is why you're here. Gabby.
Yeah, I mean, I like our course also with same as the other courses. Like, we've got quite a small year group, so everyone kind of knows each other by name, and you kind of get to interact with everyone. But I also kind of like the diversity on the course. Kind of there's so many things. You get to like try different things when you're on the photography course, but also it's nice to be able to see other people's kind of photography as well, and you get to meet like-minded people, and I think like it's really inspiring to see other people's work, because then that motivates you to also create something really good.
Excellent, thank you. I think what I've got from that is the ability to create a sense of community. I know on the course that I taught on, we had 25, 30 students on, and we were considered a small course. The nice thing about that, from my point of view as staff as well, is to get to know all of the students and have time when you're working in the studio, when we have dedicated teaching time, to be able to get round the groups. I think what also came out of that is that ability to see other people's work and be hands-on creative in the studio, because the studios tend to be open throughout the day, so that access to them enables our students to be able to get stuck into their projects, work in collaborations, work in partnerships, get access to the facilities when you need them, and to be able to also knock on the door of stuff. We call it an open door policy, where all of the studios tend to be located quite next to studio staff offices. So to be able to knock on the door and just get some insight into what you're working on as well, I think is really helpful. Not wanting to put words in anybody's mouth, but that's from my perspective as one of the tutors on a course in the past. So on the back of that, again, it's a question to everyone. We'll reverse it this way. We'll start with Gabby. Do you have a favourite module you've studied? And if so, why?
I mean, we're doing symposium at the moment, so I think the brief is photography now, and we're doing ours about like AI and digital rendering in fashion, and like does the camera still relevant? And I've actually found that it's a group project, but I found it really interesting, and it's nice because it's not like a written essay. You don't have to, because I'm not very good at writing, so being able to speak that, and I guess have that, it almost feels more free to be able to speak to an audience and build that confidence. But yeah, I've really liked Symposium for second year. I think that's been my favorite one so far, but also the I can't remember what it's called. I call it the personal project or photography project. I think that's what it's called. I also like that because it's the first module that you actually get to have a lot of like properly creative freedom, because you get to do it on whatever you want. And it's kind of building up to a third year exhibition. So yeah. Cool.
I've just been talking with an illustration student before we get to you, Jasmine, about the effect that writing and having a contextual awareness of our subject areas. And I actually said, look, let's face it, we're all creative people. We all like the doodling, the drawing, the practical thing, the taking images and being really hands-on creative. But it is also important to understand, in my case, your Castigliones, from your Ron Arrods, from your specialists who've worked in our areas in the past, and then be able to apply it to those creative areas. Okay, Jasmine, your favorite module you've studied and what it is and why. Explain it to us a little bit.
Okay, I think my favorite module in illustration so far has been digital and sequential, which is where we get given pieces of media that already exist. Like, for example, I was doing a project based on the book Brave New World, and we had a set of briefs, and I chose to do a film poster. And I really liked how, first of all, we were able to choose what we wanted to do. So if you wanted to do environments or an animation or something like that, you could do that. And I got to choose what I wanted. And you had the original media that you had to base it on, but you could take it any way you wanted. So it doesn't have to be in the same time period, or you can change the characters. and you just use it as a springboard, and you use that with your own unique art style to just create something that you want to create. And I really enjoyed it.
Sounds good. Sounds like you can really let your imagination run free and overlay your thoughts onto somebody else's original idea. Yeah, sounds fun. I like it. Adam, your favorite module? I know it's slightly different in Arts Foundation, but maybe you could align that with a project or an area that you studied. You know, you talked about being able to dip in and out of different specialisms. Maybe along those lines.
Well, in Arts Foundation, yeah, we have 3 modules, and I think my favorite so far is probably what's called the Advanced Studio Practice, and it's kind of an end of year, like 6-week project. It's very fast paced, but that's kind of what I enjoy about it, because at this point we've had all the workshops, we've had the tutoring, you know, we've had the guidance, and we still have that guidance, but now they kind of just let you really run off and just do whatever you want. You know, pretty much everyone's kind of figured out which specialism they're going to go and do. And it's really freeing, because you can kind of just like, it gets you really ready for what you're about to go into, like, because I'm about to go into fine art. And it's like, I'm doing that now. So it means that by the time you go onto the actual course, you're just going to be absolutely set and probably miles ahead of everyone.
Lovely. Yeah, you're going to need that creative expression in fine art, the ability to kind of almost be self-indulgent with your art and use whatever media, whatever materials you wanted to get your thoughts on paper or in sculptural form. Yeah, I hope it's gone well. Alice, what about you on BA Fashion?
So my favorite thing about my module is probably the module called Creative Development, because it's kind of the same as what they just said. You get to really just do what you want, and it's a really big project. It is prolonged across quite a lot of weeks, and you go from doing all the research and paper art stuff, digital stuff, and then you get to do the sewing, and you get to make this final garment or garments, and there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's one big whole project that it's like it acts as your main project. And for me, that's my favorite, because you put a lot of work and time into it, and the outcomes are always really good. But also with that, you also get to do an exhibition at the end of it, which I have mine on Friday. This Friday, so it's a bit rushy, a bit scary, but it's really good because you've got an end goal, and it's just all the work you've done so far. You just get to show it off, you know, exhibit it in the wall, on the wall, and in a space. It's just a really big project. But it's just, there's so much you do, and it's really fun as well.
Excellent. Sounds like there's a positive transformation between your thoughts, 2-dimensional design, so sketching it out, thinking it out on paper, and then making this almost sculptural garment to go on exhibition. Good luck with that on Friday.
Thanks.
I'm going to come and see it. Okay, Jack, what about you on creative advertising?
I think my favorite is probably the industry and live projects one at the moment, because literally yesterday we were up in Nottingham presenting to like uni days at their big HQ, which was pretty fun. And it's where you get set actual briefs from clients, like an agency. So this year we had one from BBC iPlayer, we had a trampoline park like Jump Giants, and they will either come to you or like video call you and set you the brief, and then you work on it in your creative pairing, and then like actually present to them. And getting feedback from a client has been so, I don't know, like different to knowing it's just from your lecturer who actually has seen the process, whereas these people are like, they're in the industry, and it's just pretty cool having like actual briefs from industry people and seeing what they think of your work, I guess.
Excellent. That is my next question about extra opportunities. So sticking with you, Jack, because I'm a big fan of live projects. I always told my students that there's a difference between me maybe standing there with a clipboard and an assessment sheet and somebody with their hand in their chin thinking, Oh, that's a good idea. We could use that, and
Yeah.
having your work maybe projected into the creative industries. Tell us how you felt about that. How it benefited you, what you got out of it.
Yeah, I think particularly with the BBC iPlayer one we had, we were supposed to go down to London, but there were like train strikes and stuff. But even like having it online, the feedback they gave us really, I don't know, it just made me think, oh, like maybe the industry actually will like the things I'm making. And our lecturers are lovely, but they will be like the devil's advocate a lot of the time to push us. And these people in the industry are like, you actually like can make some decent stuff. And I think just hearing that, it puts you at ease and it makes you think, okay, we're being taught the right things. And we've been to agencies and they've taken us through like what's it called, kind of PowerPoints, and they show us things that act like the agents that our lecturers are actually teaching us, and I'm like, okay, we're being taught like the right stuff, and it just kind of, it puts you at ease, I guess, going and hearing that you're doing the right stuff.
Excellent. Don't forget, people who are watching, if you do have any questions that we haven't asked already, please do send them in. Thanks for that, Jack. Anybody else had any other opportunities or extra opportunities? I'm talking working in industries, placements, exhibiting externally, any live projects that we've just mentioned with Jack? No, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on,
We're
Gabby.
doing a module at the moment with the company Borderfields Oil. So they've set us a brief this year of seasonality, and so we create a set of 6 to 8 images of Borderfields Oil with the brief seasonality, and then at the end we hand it in to them. So I'm not sure how the process is going to happen at the end, but I do know on the photography course we're also doing it with Discover Lincoln, so you can create I think 6 to 8 images again with Discover Lincoln. So there's 2 proper companies you get to do a module with in second year. We haven't had too many other opportunities, but I do know, I think we went to Format Festival. I didn't go, but I think that was this year. And I do know there's something at Format Festival where you can show your portfolio to professional photographers or something like that, and they will critique your portfolios for you. So like being able to, sometimes if those trips are on, there are other things involved with it that you can do outside of the course.
I think those kind of critiques are really important because I've always thought we get comfortable. We talked about community. We talked about having that sense of togetherness. I used to, and I hate to keep referring back to my own course, but we were like, we are product design, and you get used to your lecturers, you get used to each other. I've always thought it's really useful to bring other people in, because when you do graduate, hopefully you'll go into creative industries, you will find people that have different opinions. And I think having that critique either makes you feel great because they've said your work's fabulous, or they question your work, but it helps to build a robustness. It helps to build a confidence in being able to compare your work with other people's and having answers, or being able to address and develop your work. Have any of you entered competitions? Had the chance to enter competitions yet? Okay, yeah, Alice, do you want to?
Yes, so in the fashion course, we get many throughout the year competitions. I mean, if you went onto one of the folders in Blackboard for competitions, I think there's already 5 active. There's just loads all the time. For example, the project I'm doing right now, the coat that I'm currently making, is going to go into I think they're called Woolmans or something. They're like this wool company, and you can win, I think, up to about 3K. You can win a lot of money, and you also get that connection and the collaboration. So I've been pushed forwards to go do that. But there's loads of others. I mean, earlier this year we had a collaboration with Glass Onion, which is like a sustainable brand. and in that competition I came 4th, I think. Yeah, and we had to. They gave us a load of scrap fabrics of old Ralph Lauren shirts, men's shirts, and we had to make something new with it. So, like, some people made shorts, people made mini tops, little jackets, but we get all sorts, like, guarantee throughout the year. There's about 3 more than that.
I've seen one. I think it was called The Office in a Bed. Is that right?
I'm
Using
not
the Ralph
su-
Lauren off course. Glass Onion.
Oh
are
yes, yeah,
Really, yeah.
yes.
I think that was the winning one. They're very current because they're all about upcycling, sustainability. So that's great. Also, the Worshipful Wool men, I think.
Yeah.
One of the students from fashion, I think, won it last year.
Yes, she did, and she got, I think it was about £2,000.
She got a lump sum of money. She got invited down to London to a special gala event, etc. It's great for the profile.
It was,
So, yeah, well done. I also know, I hate to dwell on fashion, I've just been talking with a company. One of my jobs as deputy head of school is to look at these kind of things across the school, who might want to set you and your colleagues a summer project, but we're looking at maybe turning it into a placement opportunity or a paid internship. So you might hear about that pretty soon as well. You're going to be busy either way, I think. Okay, next question. I believe we may have a question have come in. Okay, maybe I should answer this. What are the job opportunities for product design after the course? Anybody know? No, I guess I'll have to answer this. Oh, sorry. Being the ex-program leader, product design is a really broad church, anything three-dimensional. We've had graduates go into user experience design, user interface design, most recently following the pandemic. But we also have graduates that work in packaging design, furniture design. We've had students that go on, or graduates, I should say, that go on to work in exhibitions and events. Anything three-dimensional. The way we teach product design is about taking a practical idea and making a three-dimensional outcome. That can also be a digital outcome. I've said this many a time at Open Days. If you've ever watched Guardians of the Galaxy and the new film is coming out, one of our graduates from product design worked on Baby Groot. So they work in kind of animation as well. But what they do is they build three-dimensional digital structures. It's not common for them to do that. More common is for them to work in three-dimensional design, furniture design, interiors, product design, new product development. And a lot of my alumni, because I've been running the course quite a few years now, have started their own companies, and they're now very successful in running their own agencies in 3D design with branding agencies and marketing and things like that. So hopefully that helps you with job opportunities for product design after the course. But there are a lot of opportunities across all of the creative industries. Our specialisms, you've already heard the students talk about working in illustration and having creative freedom. I think this helps when pitching yourself to branding agencies. So illustration students could go into branding, they could go into narrative storytelling, bookmaking, short stings of animations. The creative advertising students get lots and lots of input from external agencies who may come back to them and help recruit, because as much as we feel that there's a leap between being on a course at university and going into industry, it's got to happen, otherwise industry doesn't survive. So a lot of our students will go into creative industries across the board. Okay, I'm going to go back maybe to Jack, Adam and Jasmine. Could you give us a little bit more information about what you feel about the student community, what it's like? Maybe expand on how you work together, and have you done any collaborations with other programs? But there's a program community and also a school community. Maybe start with Adam.
I mean, in terms of the community between like me and like my other course mates, it's really good. We've got like a really good studio culture. You're free to just walk around, look at everyone else's work, discuss with everyone. We have pretty constant crits, so we can like share ideas, give each other new ideas, talk to lecturers. You get a huge amount of support from like everyone, pretty much everyone in your course, even your peers. And it's a really welcoming community. There's like introduction activities, so you get to know everyone pretty well. And I just find it great.
Can I pick up on something what you said about crits? What was your first crit like?
It was quite daunting because I'd never had anything like that before. But it was a lot better than I expected, because you get like equal parts, negative and positive feedback. They will definitely tell you what you're doing well and what to encourage you on, but you will also get, constructive criticism that is supposed to help you in whichever course you decide to go on to do, which is going to be immensely helpful.
I was going to say that it's generally about two things. One is sharing your ideas so you get the benefit of other people's input. And the other is that constructive criticism. Whatever criticism you get, you've got to see it as being something which will help you move your idea forward. Jack, let's talk about the community again in creative advertising.
Yeah,
what did you think when you
have...
first went in? Is it quite daunting to be sharing so much information?
Yeah, it can be quite because you come into it without ever having this kind of feedback. Like you don't really have it at school, where people you put up your advert on the boards and someone's just like, yeah, it doesn't meet the brief. And to start with, it's a bit like, oh, that's a bit painful, and you really put your heart and soul into this work. But as time goes on, you become more thick-skinned, and having other people crit your work and critting other people's work, it teaches you some of the basic skills of advertising. And yeah, it is quite tough when people first start giving you feedback, because you think it's really good, and then you realize I've still got my first ad that we made on the first day of first year, and it's terrifying when I look at it. But having all that feedback and crits and working collaboratively is really good. And you were saying about cross course working. We've done we recently just finished a project with the advertising and marketing degree. So they gathered information from some clients that were local to Lincoln and transferred that to us, and we were then made it into a creative solution with the information they got. So yeah, that was pretty cool, because it felt more like we were working in industry, almost working with different teams and stuff, which was cool.
Great. Helps you become a little bit more self-analytical as well, doesn't it? When you think, yeah, I'm happy with that, it's ready. As creative people, you always find, actually, when you go back to it, or when you're away from it, you'll think, oh, I could have added something to that. I'm going to go back to it and change it. Okay, Jasmine, let's talk a little bit more about the community in illustration, please.
Well, yeah, I agree with the other two people about the studio culture and stuff. So we're always able to go into the studio if, for example, I've got deadlines soon. So in the past, I've stayed until midnight or something, which I don't recommend cramming, but you are able to stay here until midnight, and you can just come in with your friends and work. And we often have crits as well, as Adam said, where they take a few small groups and we show each other our work, and the tutors are there and they can give us feedback both from the tutors and our peers. So it's really nice. You get to see feedback from a range of people, and it helps you further your work. And it's
does it help you feel? Does it help you feel part of something?
Yeah.
Yeah. And people, well, what I mean is people that you can go to and maybe ask questions, because when you're first day, first sat on a seat, you think, oh, I'm totally on my own. But then having that ability to share your ideas across the table, across the room, because I know in illustration, it's a big old room. I've been in there today. There are people that are going to be there till midnight, because I know you've all got deadlines. But hey ho, that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? Okay, next question, maybe to Alice and Gabriella. And Gabby, let's talk a little bit about the facilities you have, and what facilities have benefited you, and what have you enjoyed using in your specialist area? Gabby.
So I didn't know whether to go first or not.
No, I should have said.
It's all right. Obviously we have the studio, but we also have the printing room. So, I mean, with the studio, you can book it out. I think it's 9 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. Well, maybe not the whole day, but like any time in that time, Monday to Friday. So you always have opportunities to practice on your photography, your studio skills. If you want to collaborate with other people, you can use studio for that, or even just personal work. And with the printing room, they have a couple I think it's a few MacBooks, so you can work on those if you need to. And we also have scanners for, well, scanning stuff if you want. We have a massive printer. It's like a high quality printer for doing like A0, like gigantic prints.
Yeah.
Most people tend to use that for the exhibition in third year, or sometimes when we have exhibitions at the end of each year. But also we have the dark room and the red room. So if you want to explore more with 35mm film, you can develop that there and kind of expose that and stuff, because in first year you learn how to do film, so you get to use those facilities and you can book those out as well. And Craig the technician will help you if you need extra help with basically anything you need. He will help you with, and he's there all the time anyway. So yeah, you can, like, the facilities are really good, and there's always someone there to help you if you want to learn something extra as well.
Love that you're bigging up Craig the technician and getting him mentioned.
Always.
Nice one. Do you want to tell Philistines like me what the difference between a dark room and a red room is? Is that what you said?
Yes. Normally I think they're both called the dark room, but I call them different. So
okay.
The dark room is where you take the canister and you develop it in the chemicals, and it's just a pitch black room, and you're in there for about 10 minutes. Okay. I don't do it because it makes me really claustrophobic. So if you don't want to use the dark room, there's like a little you can either get Craig to do it if you're really cheeky, or you or there's like a
we
thing
don't advocate
you can
that all the time.
No, not all the time. Or there's something like you can, it's almost like you put your hands in it, it's like enclosed, and you can do it from that with all the chemicals in like a canister. I'm not explaining it very well, but yeah. But then the red room is once you've got your exposed film, you put it under some equipment, don't know what it's called, but basically you can focus on one little photo from your strip and basically blow it up to be a lot bigger, and that's what the red room's for. Excellent.
Just hearing that is great. It takes me back. It was all like that in my day. We didn't have anything digital, but thank you for that, Gabby. Alice, what about the facilities across the fashion program?
So in fashion, there's many facilities. So we have two main rooms, which we have the normal pattern cutting room, we call it. It's where we do pattern cutting, which is, not making your clothes, but the planning of making them. We use that room for designing, drawing. There's computers in there, so we do digital stuff in there sometimes. Although we do have the Mac suite to use, which is full of Macs for digital, and a room on the first floor, which we do use for computers too. Next to the main room, we have the sewing room, which is full of sewing machines, overlockers, the irons, and that's your main room for sewing, where all the creative stuff goes down. But we also have loads of other facilities. So down our corridor, we have the Maker Lab. No, I think it's called Maker Lab. That's where you can do printing of fabric. You can do more sewing in there. You can do embroidery in there. There's a lot of creative other stuff going on in that room. But also, there's so much more that's not part of our corridor and area, but we also do collaborate a lot. So, for example, I was in the photography studio yesterday, and that's not part of our facilities, but we can use it. So you can cross use other courses stuff basically. And sometimes fashion students go into the Piece de Wit building and use for super big prints. There's a room in that building that we can use, and we can use basically anything. But overall, for our course, we have them 2 main rooms, and there's just.
I know you have slightly different studio spaces. For a lot of the other studios are desktop working spaces. You have very big practical workshop spaces.
Yeah, it's a very big practical course, so you need.
It's almost like a trick question asking you, because there's so much in those 2 rooms: pattern cutting desktops, but terminals around the sides, sewing machines, cutting machines, overlockers. I know I've been past there today. There's a lot of very busy students going on in there. Just a general question before we take another public question: has anybody got any use of specialist or software facilities? Anybody been using that? No, generally. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, as a creative student, we get free Adobe Creative Cloud. So I'm an illustrator, clearly. So I use Photoshop and Illustrator, and for as I said, I've got my deadlines around now. So for organizing my portfolio and putting all my work together, I've been using InDesign. And again, it's really useful as the industry standard, particularly with Photoshop. I'm sure everyone has heard of Photoshop. So to be using software like that, and particularly on hardware like Cintiq and drawing tablets, which we are able to use here. Yeah, it's great to be using the same software that professionals use. So it's a really great thing that they offer.
Have they introduced you to Maya yet?
I'm not sure.
No, Maya's a 3D software, but you might use it for some very short animations like advertising stings or branding stings. I know Keith, your program leader, was very interested in using that. Okay, I think we now have another external question. Okay, hi Yasmin. What are some specific modules, projects for photography, and what can be expected of each year? Gabby, I think this is right up your street.
Yeah. So I'm not actually very good at remembering the names for the modules. I've got a brain a bit of a sieve.
Just talk us through the types of modules, the types of projects that you work on, relative to each of the modules that you work on.
I'll go through this year's first because I remember it.
Okay.
So this year's on second year, you do a symposium. So the teachers pick a theme, and I think you get split off into 3 categories. You can pick whichever one you want. So like, for example, this year it's photography now, and there's either performance, activism, and artistic photography, or something like that. And basically you make it's group work. So you work as a group of 4, 5, or 3. And you create a presentation, and that's second year. Then what else do we have?
Can I just chip in there? Do you have to delegate work as part of that foursome? Are you all working on the same thing, or you have to form some kind of team and agree what you're going to do and what kind of output you're going to have?
So you choose what group you're in when you sign up for that class. Or you can join that class for that specific sector you've chosen, and then create a group. But the way that our group has done it is that we've delegated certain parts to each thing. So I'm doing like digital rendering and 3D modeling. Someone else is doing AI. Someone else is doing NFTs, and then someone else is doing like just a sustainable brand and how smaller companies still use the camera. So you'll have like 4 sections. Well, you don't have to do it like this, but how we've done it, and most groups have done it, is 4 different sections in the PowerPoint, and you kind of bring it all together and make it cohesive, and then you present it to the class and a few other people, whoever wants to join.
Sounds really interesting. Do you know how many modules do you work on in a year?
Or in a semester? There's 3 each semester, so there's 6 a year. Although
Okay.
sometimes I think I feel like last year there might have been 5, because sometimes I think, so like in third year, you'll have 2 modules that go over both semesters. But I'll
Okay.
stick to second year now, because otherwise I'll get myself confused.
Yeah,
I'll
that's good.
just try and name them, because otherwise I'll ramble. What else do we do? So second year you do your first personal project as well. So you do that, like I said earlier, whatever you want to do it on. So I was doing it on safe spaces, so like what people's safe spaces are, what comforts them, or whatever, stuff like that. I think, oh yeah, and then the collaboration for border fields, that was another thing.
All right. Yeah.
This semester, last semester was what was it? I knew I should have wrote this down. I'll
Don't worry too much.
my brain's going like absolutely like it's gone.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year. It's the end of year now.
It is.
Coming for the last
I'm
few
running
weeks.
around like a headless chicken. But I'll say, like, so first year it's basically the teachers help you navigate your way around photography. You learn more how to do like essays, theory, contextual research, stuff like that. Second year you're getting a bit more independent, but you're still getting help. And then third year it's like mostly independent, but obviously the teachers are still there to help you. But I also think another thing, because I dread writing, I used to hate it, but actually there's so many resources and you write so much now that it's actually quite interesting, and it's surprising how good you can get at it, even if you think you're terrible at it. So yeah.
I think we all think we're terrible at it, but I think that, as I've said before, the writing is really important because it does help you kind of expand your thoughts and it's almost like making a list, but a kind of written list of who's done what before and how things have gone. As you progress through the course, does it help you formulate the type of photographer that you want to be? Is there assistance with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely some people who come on the course and already know the type of photography they like, that they want to do.
Yeah.
Like, there's some people who come on the course and you'd already think they've been doing photography for years. They're absolutely amazing. But I definitely think because you're having to do that research, you do get to look into so many different type of photographers. And also that's another thing on the course. You get such variety of genres. So you can do like landscape, architecture, portrait, studio work, location shoots, product photography. You get such like a variety of modules that you can kind of try whatever you want. But yeah,
Okay.
I think a lot of people's like photography has definitely improved. Like like the studio, most people hadn't used a studio before, but coming onto the course, most people are really good at it now.
And lastly on this, have you got a favorite genre?
I like landscape.
Okay.
Landscape and architecture. I kind of prefer that genre.
Good. Is that what you're going into, do you think, at this moment in time?
I'm not actually going into photography, but I'm still going to do it as a hobby thing, because I absolutely love photography, but I want to go into garden design. So it kind of still incorporates it, and I'll still be using photography to promote my business, I suppose. So yeah.
You're going to need that camera, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, a question to everyone. Oh no, sorry. What is student life like? Clubs, social events? Maybe I should close my ears on this bit. I'll just cut my ears. You lot can talk about what you think of the student life in Lincoln. Adam.
There's quite a lot going on usually. I mean, if you're talking about like the nightlife, there's a lot of clubs around. Like, I mean, you know, you can just go there with course mates, flatmates. There's also like societies that have social events where, you know, you might go to one of them. And every Wednesday night, there's at the engine shed on the university campus, there's Quack night. And Quack is like a big, like, kind of club event thing. And it's usually themed. So we've had a Halloween one, there's been an ABBA night. You know, there's stuff coming up every week. And I find that really fun. It's quite nice that it's consistent and it's always on a Wednesday, so you've always got that there as something if perhaps some other stuff doesn't interest you as much. So
to look forward to, something to look forward to. I've heard so much about Quack. I'm not sure I'd fit in, but hey ho. Jasmine.
Right. So, as Adam was saying, there's a lot that you can do as a student here. With societies, there's such a huge range of societies, from like academic societies or just things relating to your interests. But more about the academic society. So there's one, I believe, for each course, and it's a great way to just meet people who have similar interests to you, and then you can, well, for example, in mine, it's similar to a studio atmosphere, and they have loads of social events, and there's just endless things you can do for that. And you, if you do end up going here, there's a societies fair at the start of the Welcome Week, so you get to see how many different things that the Students' Union offer, and that's just the start of it. But yeah, as I say, I would say that the societies is a great part of the student life.
Cool. Okay, Alice.
So just following up from that, when you do come, if you do, and you go to the welcome fairs and all the other fairs that we have, you get many offers, student offers, and there's so many places you can use them in. You can use them in any pub around if that's your thing. Shopping, the shopping stuff, and there's eating places, and just so much here, and so many places you can get student discounts at. Personally, for me, I really like this student life because I live in Lincoln as well, so everything's really near and close by. Everything's just a walk away, so it's really useful. And if you do like walking, yes, you can go to the cathedral here, and it is free. And there's the castle that's also free to walk around. So there's so much you can do for free, and there's so many student offers available as well. And it's a really great place to walk around if that's your thing. I very much agree. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost like a bigger community, isn't it? We've talked a lot about the community we get with your network of friends and people and your cohort that you work with on a course. But I think you can't walk around Lincoln because it's so central. The university is so central to the city. I always think the city's split into two. There's uphill and downhill. Uphill is where the cathedral is. Downhill is where the university is and the city centre is. And there's a big sense of a student community in addition to the programme community that you get. And the facilities that the city has developed as well are really useful in building that warmth, that sense of community. Can I ask everyone, and thanks for that question, what you've enjoyed most about the city of Lincoln? Jack?
Oh, one small thing about it is that it's not so huge. So you could walk. I don't think I've really ever got a taxi in Lincoln. No judgment if you have, but it's not like that. Nowhere's that far to go. If you got someone who lives the other side of town, that's literally like a 15-minute walk. And you can walk to clubs. And one of my biggest fears before coming to Lincoln was it was gonna be really boring because I was like, oh, it's small, but it's just condensed. It's not missing anything. It's just a condensed city, and it's got loads going on in the night. So don't worry about that. It's just it's good to get around, and it's not too big.
Good. Gabby?
I mean, I love Lincoln. I think it's great. Like Jack said, it's so small, so it's nice because I'm from a rural village, so a massive city to me is very daunting and not very pleasant for me. But something like Lincoln is a perfect size, and there's so many there's West Common and I think East Common as well. So there's plenty of places to go walk to, have a picnic, just read a book. There's loads of independent like cafes and shops as well. It's not too busy of a city, but there's also still a lot going on as well. And it's just convenient how close everything is together. Like you don't have to walk very far. I mean, I live near the university, so it's only about 15 minutes to get into town, if that. But yeah, I think it's just really nice, and especially on top of the hill. Like if you go past the cathedral, I go walking there sometimes because there's a lot of just more smaller houses, and it's really nice seeing everyone's gardens and stuff. And that place it's very quaint up there, and I think it's nice because it's kind of away from the bustle of the city as well.
I would say this. I think it's a beautiful city. I think what you've just said about that kind of the uphill, and when you go past the cathedral and seeing, it's almost quite it's not a tiny city. It has grown since I got here. I've been here about 30 years, and it has grown around the campus as well. And I think it's right to point out about navigating the city and being able to make your way around it. I think even in a bigger city, you tend to stick to one area of it. So you kind of hive off sections of a bigger city and stick in that area anyway. With somewhere like Lincoln, you can make your way across the city at any time and try out different coffee shops, different cafes, different bars, and really enjoy the whole thing. Jasmine, what do you love about the city of Lincoln?
Well, as Gabby said, there's so many nice countryside spots here, like West Commons. One thing I didn't know about Lincoln and the areas around it was that West Commons has horses. Like, if you're interested in nature or animals or anything, you can just walk somewhere and there's horses. See, I came from a place that's more urban than Lincoln, so this is like a nice surprise. And I mean, as an art student, it's also a good reference to you can just sit on the field and draw horses. But that's just one of the places that there is. It's not. It doesn't have places that like city universities would have, or like bigger cities. But it's got great country places, and just a wonderful selection of independent stores and things. There are so many places on Steep Hill, and it's just great.
Yeah, it's got a really nice mixture. Again, I would say this, I work here, of kind of old and new. The independent stores uphill, the more national stores downhill. Adam, what do you think about Lincoln?
I think my favorite thing about Lincoln is like Steep Hill, which sounds weird. It's like an area that goes up to the cathedral. But the range of shops, restaurants, just everything that you can find up at Steep Hill is just amazing. Like, I come from a pretty small town as well, so it's really nice to just basically be a 5-minute walk away from such a variety of shops and restaurants. And there's always somewhere to go. Like, you're never going to be lost for somewhere to just go with friends and that. Something I really like.
Excellent. And if you get time, if you are watching, do check out the cathedral and the castle. They are really fascinating places. Okay. I think we have another external question now. Thank you, Ella. What sort of main assignments do you do for creative advertising? Example, presentations, essays, portfolios. I think you do all of those, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, first year is a bit of a crazy one. Like I knew this because I'd been to open days, but if you don't know, like you come into it expecting just to like start making adverts from day one, which you kind of do, but I'd say it's just a year of weird because they try and like unlearn all the bad patterns you get from school of like self-criticizing your idea like as soon as you think of it. So we just did some weird stuff, like me and my friend dressed up as crickets and like ran through the high street, and I don't know, there's weird stuff that you do in first year. But don't worry, you do also do adverts, and there's a couple of essays. We don't major too much on them because that's this other module. But so yeah, you do some essays because you have to do a dissertation in third year. But they do also really work on your portfolio with you. So at the end of first year, or at the end of every year, you do like a portfolio of all your work that you've done over the year, like reworked and just made to look really well. So they'll help you with that and help you make it look like really professional. And there's like different software they'll show you what to use with that. And there's Macs you can use with that, or a lot of people bring in their own laptop or like an iPad or something, so they can do some like fancy sketches on them. But yeah, it's a range of things. There's definitely adverts, but also you end up doing a lot of weird stuff, but it's fun.
I like that. I think that's our new slogan for first year, isn't it? Come and do a year of weird.
Yeah.
Love it. It's pretty similar, Ella, to a range of our programs. All of our programs will have those assignments that are specialist, and some are kind of developmental about creative processes. So, for example, in graphic design, they'll learn about similar creative processes to creative advertising, less about the advertising, maybe a little bit more in terms of technical skills in developing letter form or layout or organizing text and image around a page and things like that, and then branding and packaging. But I know all of our programs will have presentations. The panel here, I've already mentioned the kind of crits that they get involved in, essays, which I know they say, oh, I'm not the best writer in the world, but they love it. It gives that opportunity to be able to think and write about things that you're interested in. And what's incredibly important, as all of these our students here move into, generally a lot of them are second years, but moving into third year, your portfolio will become really important, because the next step after us, after studying at Lincoln, is to go and get a job. And finding a job, you'll need a portfolio, digital portfolio, you'll need messages, visual narrative to be able to illustrate to people what you do and who you are. Which leads me to my next question, and thanks for that, Ella. I want to ask, I've kind of thrown this in, how do you think Lincoln helps or will help or has helped to prepare your future either in or out of the creative industry? Adam, let's ask you first, because you're on the Arts Foundation, you're moving into fine art.
I think for me, the Arts Foundation year is less about preparing you to go straight into the industry, more just like onto your course. And I think it does that very effectively. It really like lets you know like what you're in for, you know, like it's less about preparing you for after university, but like just how you're going to get on in the course. So it'll teach you the skills that you need. Like we do contextual studies, so that'll help you, you know, in future if you have to write a dissertation or do your own research, you know, reference and everything like that. It really just, it's really varied. And because of that, I think it really helps you choose whatever you want to go and do. And it helps you like make a very well-informed decision. So you will eventually, when you leave uni, you'll know that you chose what's best for yourself.
Do you think it's helped you to confirm your choice? I know you maybe alluded to this, but definitively think, yeah, did you come in for fine art initially and it's helped you to confirm that choice?
I was really undecided. I was between fine art, animation, and like a few other things. And it's really helped me confirm with fine art, just because I've realized like what it is. Because I used to think fine art was just like painting and like, you know, drawing, but it turns out that's, you know, more illustration-y, and fine art was like way out there. But I've discovered that's something I really like. And I've ruled out a lot of other things just because I didn't really, you know, get on well with them. But I found what I like, and so have pretty much all my course mates.
Okay, thank you for that, Adam. Jasmine, what about yourself? Is Lincoln preparing you for your future in a creative industry?
Oh yeah, very much. As I said earlier, with using industry standard software like Photoshop and InDesign, you're developing skills which you will need in your future job should you choose to pursue illustration after graduation. So say I was going to be a character designer, I would be making these designs on Photoshop, and if I'm being taught how to use things like Photoshop shortcuts or drawing processes, then it's going to help me in my job in the future. And in a more industry perspective, we have a module in third year, which I believe it focuses more on pursuing your specific brand. So to have a more industry-based outlook on our work instead of it just being like uni work or drawings you have to do. You have to think about your selling your work and showing off your work, and so they've taught you all of these things throughout your degree, and now at the end of it you're trying to show off how great it is to your future employers and to network.
That's great to hear that you get insights into the professional practice side of design. So your role as the artist or designer, your position in the creative industries, maybe as a freelancer, maybe as an employee, ultimately, maybe, as I've said, some of my alumni do, as an employer. I think getting insights into those areas of professional practice is really important. Jack, what about yourself? How do you think you're being prepared when you've been to so many agencies? Has it made you think, yeah, I'm going to go there, I'm aspiring to that?
Definitely. I mean, this is like, I'm sure they'll do it every year, but I think it was March, we went to New York on like a trip, and we've got to go to, I think, 4 or 5 different agencies there, and I wasn't sure if I want to work there, but after being there, it really fires you up. And like, being in Lincoln's great, but I know that I probably won't end up living here in the future, because most of the agencies are like in big cities like London or Manchester, and the fact that they give you that opportunity to go and see what it's like and see what the agencies are like, you build those connections with people. Like, I've added them on LinkedIn, but you also get a picture and like a passion for wanting to like actually work to get there, I think. So it's been really helpful. And definitely coming back from New York, I was like, right, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to actually I'm going to start trying harder, and because I want to get there.
I think that's a great answer. I personally, I've been to New York with a few trips over my time, and I always come back thinking invigorated and thinking, oh yeah, I've got an idea for this. I know this, and I've spoken to different agencies, different consultancies over in New York, maybe Smart Design, who designed the OXO range, and people Frog Design, who've done all sorts of new product development, so 3-dimensional designs. But every time I came back thinking, that's made me think I'm going to do this, or I'm going to try this. Alice, what about yourself and the fashion program?
Well, for me, there's so much that you do that's industry based in the course that I think helps you really get what you need for the future. Everything from the Adobe Creative Cloud that we use. So, for example, I use Illustrator and InDesign, Photoshop a little bit, but you still like getting them skills which are really useful for the future. But the type of sewing we do, we're on not just domestic at home sewing machines. We're on the proper, I've forgotten the name of them, but the big heavy duty ones, which would be the ones you'd go on in industry if you got a job in that. Everything you do from the methods. So we do pattern cutting when you're making your garments. That's industry based. At home sewers would just buy the pattern, we make the pattern. So it definitely does prepare you in multiple ways for the future. And sometimes it can be a little tough because, it gets thrown at you a bit because you don't expect it, because you come from college and it's very easy-ish, and you're going to uni and it's a bit more, you've got to work a bit harder, but I think it's worth it, and I do think it does prepare you for the future.
I think it's important to talk about that work ethic, and also, the fashion industry is constantly changing because it's so busy, it's so ahead of itself, it's embracing new technologies, it's embracing new software, things like that, and I know we're looking as a school to help with digital software, which will help with pattern cutting and wrap it around digital mannequins and help with working out dimensions and things like that. Okay, we have another last question from the public. You might need to think about this. Thanks, Cato. What do we need? What's the most essential piece of kit, and maybe a little bit more, that you might need to bring to your first day at university? Gabby, specifically, Do we need to bring any specific equipment for the photography course?
Honestly, maybe just like paper and pen. The university has all the facilities you need. You could have a laptop, but I know there's a few people on the course who don't have one, so like it's not the end of the world if you don't. It is a lot more convenient if you do have one, but you don't really need one. So yeah, just you don't even need a camera because you can book one out from the
Media loans.
Media Loans, that's it. Yes, from Media Loans. So you could really come to uni with just like paper and pen and a backpack, and that's it. Because the university have basically everything you need, and also you get the software. If you do have your own laptop, you will get Adobe Cloud, so you'll be able to have Lightroom, Photoshop, anything you need on that. But also they are on the university computers.
Yeah, you get the
like
whole suite.
MacBooks and everything. Yeah, so yeah, it's pretty. Yeah.
To be honest, as an ex-program leader, I used to say, look, just bring a pen because we might need you to write your name on the first day. But, you know, what I did say, as we grow into the course, you'll start learning the type of designer that you want to be, and you might want to buy specific kit. It's slightly different, and some of the others may say this. We do recommend on product in particular, get a laptop, but get a gaming laptop, because some of the 3D software that we use will need a really strong graphics card and take up some of the memory on the machine itself. Jasmine, what about yourself? Is there anything specific you were asked to bring, or you think, or you would advise to bring on your first day at uni?
Well, for your first day of uni is normally a welcome week, so I would say that other than maybe a notepad and pen, I don't think you'd need to bring anything like that, because the first week is very much just learning what the university offers. But for the actual first academic day, I guess, I suppose for illustration, probably like what you used to draw on. If, like, for example, I have an iPad, so I bring that most days, or some people bring like a laptop and their drawing tablet, though we do have Macs in the studio. But I would say maybe just like a sketchbook. So just kind of think of things that you need when you have new ideas and you just want to write them down, because that's what I normally do. I have like a pack of Post-it notes in my bag and things like that, and as I said, my iPad. But I would say just the art supplies that you normally use.
Okay, thank you. Jack, what about yourself on creative advertising? Anything specific you would suggest?
It's probably similar to the others, like pen and paper. We use big black marker pens, so if you get a few of them, that would be helpful. Don't know, we sometimes bring in our lunch because you're there all day, but I'd say if it's your first few days, you're not there all day. Just bring yourself, and I don't know, there's nothing specific you need. I remember when I was joining, I was like, oh, do I need like a specific laptop or something? And you literally, first year you'll be fine. I've ended up getting an iPad for second year because it's good for sketches and stuff. But yeah, just bring a big black pen and you'll be fine, I think.
Big black pen, I like it. Alice, what about on the fashion course? You may be advised to bring stuff.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, unfortunately, for us. So before I even turned up to the uni, I remember getting a whole list of stuff, and there was two categories, one being art stuff, one being sewing stuff. So the art stuff is not too bad. It's just pencils, pens, biros, erasers, pro markers or any markers, just normal arty stuff. But for the second bit, which is like the sewing, there's so much more you need. So we needed so much. First of all, they advise you to get the pattern cutting book, which is what you use every day you do the sewing. Pattern cutter, which is like the big rulers. They advise you for paper scissors, thread scissors, fabric scissors. Luckily, everything you can get is very easy to get and it's really affordable too, thankfully. Things like fabric, they have their own fabric cupboard. Also, you can just buy that whenever, but you don't need it because we just use calico, which is like draft fabric, which they provide. But we do need, unfortunately for us, a lot of little things that you have to bring, like them scissors and your rulers and certain like really mini pencils for your sketching and stuff. You can get these things from the art shop, which is based in the Nicola Del Hay building. I went there today, actually. I needed something for the exhibition on Friday, and I just popped downstairs, go to the shop, which is really easy, and it's also really affordable because it's student prices, obviously. So, yeah, you can and they do so much stuff in the art shop as well. I mean, I think they do everything from almost every course, almost, like sketchbooks, pencils, pens. They do like cutting boards, sewing stuff. They've got like modeling stuff in there. Like there's so much. But yeah, it definitely varies for my course.
Great. Jack, can you get a better advert for the art shop than that?
No, I couldn't do any better. I probably should remember because I work there. I literally served you today. But no, there's constantly stuff added to the shop. It's like this little room, kind of like the size of my bedroom, it's got loads of art supplies. So it's got all sketchbooks of any size. We got sent down now on our first day to go get our pens because no one had any. But yeah, whatever course you're on, there's like different paper. There's like mount boards. There's stuff for fashion as well. I know. Trying to think, architecture. There's a lot of stuff for architecture. There's painting supplies. There's different materials to work with. Like I've got lino. Trying to remember what we've got now.
I don't think you need to list everything. I think
no.
I think the message is that most of the basic equipment that anyone coming to the university and starting on one of an art or design program can come and see Jack. Form a queue.
Yeah, and it's kind of cheap as well. So
it's kind of cheap. It's affordable, I think. Okay, thank you for that, everyone. I hope that answers your question. My last question, or our last question, and I want you to smile when you're saying this. Would you recommend your course and why? Adam?
I would really recommend the Art Foundation. Yeah, just like there's so many benefits to doing it, really. Like, I mean, obviously, it's okay if you don't, but for me, it's just been absolutely helpful. I feel like if I had just gone at the first year without that like extra everything, I think I'd be kind of like a fish out of water. Like I wouldn't know what I was doing with myself. Because just the way that you kind of present work, organize work, the way that you write things, the way that your brain works, like you're already pretty much like forming all that in the Arts Foundation year, so that when you do go on to the actual course, yeah, it's I don't want to say easy, but it's a massive help. Like it will never go unappreciated.
Excellent. Jasmine, what about you?
I'd say I would definitely recommend this course because, as I said earlier, you can really pursue your own unique art style, and there's just so many opportunities you can do and all the facilities that you can use in the art buildings, and there's a great studio, and there's so many. I could go on and on about the good things in this course, but as I said, I'm only in my first year, but there are great modules and you can really learn a lot, and it's a really good course.
Thank you very much. Gabby?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend the course as well. I think like the variety of facilities, the teachers, like they're all really amazing. They're so helpful. They give great feedback because most of them have either been in kind of the industry or like some way or another. And I also think just being able to hone your skills. And I also think just in general, like I find the course really interesting, even though there is a lot of writing to it. I've like, even if I thought, it's just Sorry. Yeah, it's just a really interesting course. Just
Excellent.
everything you get to learn, all the writing, being able to practice your photography, be able to use different cameras, and yeah, just overall, it's just really good course.
Thank you very much, Alice.
In my opinion, I think it's great. I love it. And if you're really into fashion, whatever it may be, styling, making, technical things, journaling even, there's everything. And you do cover everything. And if that's what you want to pursue in your life, I think it's very good. And that's one of the reasons why I chose it, because they just have everything here, and they cover everything. Yeah, I definitely would recommend this course.
Thank you very much. Lastly, Jack.
Oh, it'd be funny to throw a curveball and just be like, no, but I actually do really like it. I tried out there's about 5 other unis that do this course. There's Falmouth and Leeds and Bucks. There were some of the big ones. And I went to them all. And if you're going to go to them all, I don't want to be mean, but don't waste your time, because I went to them all for open days and interviews, and that's quite a trek. And I had a whole pros and cons list, and Lincoln came out on top. And I'm really happy I picked it, because I fell in love with the whole part of advertising, and I just really love it. And I can't walk past a bus stop now without being a bit of a freak and commenting on an advert and stuff. So if you want to get into advertising, go Lincoln, because it is the better one in my opinion.
That is really loving your job, isn't it? I kind of do that with everything, looking at all sorts of things. That I change that. I know what to do with that. Commenting on adverts. Why have they written that like that? I understand that now. I think that thank you ever so much for those. And Jack, I think it may be the year of weird that maybe just tipped Lincoln over the edge, was it? Well, thank you everyone for your questions and for tuning in tonight. Please, as is scrolling along the bottom, follow us on social media at Uni Lincoln Arts. There are always images, always new posts going up on there. In terms of the School of Design, I know many people tuning in for this will be holders of offers at the university and at the School of Design. We have shows coming up. We have end of year shows in a physical sense in our studios from the 17th of June. You probably will get an invite to private views on the 16th of June, but the shows will be open for 2 weeks. We're also doing a really exciting digital platform. One of our students here, one of our panel here, talked about scanners earlier, and what we're doing is we're creating an immersive environment. So all of our students will be placed in their studio, but we're going to do a full body scan of each of the students. So me in my gear now will be scanned, dropped into a digital environment, holding my portfolio of work. So when that goes live, and it'll be the same time, around about the 17th of June, please do log in onto that. I know we've had questions about starting uni, what to bring. All of our programs will put together welcome packs. You'll get information about maybe what books to read, what TV programs, what YouTube programs to watch, what to take a look at, TED Talks, things like that. But magazines, journals to get hold of and have a brief look at. There may be summer projects in there, but there'll also be a kind of small. Some are small. If you're listening to Alice in Fashion, it's slightly larger, the kind of kit list that you might need for those. But please do look out for those coming your way as well. Thank you ever so much, panel. Gabby, Jasmine, Adam, Jack, and Alice. I really appreciate your time this evening. And have a good evening. Thank you.